We're getting an RV. We can't find one.
Yeah, there's little trailer trains. Yeah, that's what did they have a problem with it?
Let me know who I need to.
You guys don't mind, I think we'll get started here real quick. We're good? At this time, it looks like it's just the four of you all plus some city staff as well. So we're just going to get this going.
And whoever's zooming in.
Yeah, at this time we have no one on Zoom, but we did check. It does work. You can zoom in. And I will say, if you guys talk to any of your neighbors and they want to meet with me specifically, tell them to give me a call. My number's on here. There's flyers you can take with you. I'm Cody Wilbers. I was going to get to that. Yeah, we've emailed back.
But she wanted to zoom, and then something came up last minute.
Gotcha.
So we made her talk at not yet.
I will say, take a flyer. It has my contact information on there.
Okay.
Feel free to bring that, and we'll go from there. I am Cody Wilbers. I'm the project manager for the Goddard Street Project with the city of Shawnee. We also have Lauren Snyder here, city engineer, and Steve Hawk, the business liaison.
Lauren Grassoff, the neighborhood planner.
And Lauren Grassoff. So there's a few of us here. Not with us tonight is our design consultant, Walter P. Moore. That team's led by Dan Brown, Katie Horner-Gonzalez, and Ethan Buman. They've done several projects for the city of Shawnee, so they're very used to our standards and kind of how we work and do business. This meeting format, we're just going to kind of quickly talk about the roadway design and layout. We'll discuss the current phasing options and plans. We'll discuss the current project schedule, but most importantly, I think we're here for question and answers. I'm going to check real quick to see if we do have anyone online. We still do not have anyone online, so I'll come back to that if anyone pops on.
A little more interest generated.
I did talk to Terry actually in person out in the field once, and I'll probably follow up with her again because there's a few things that have happened there. From a design perspective, this is a full depth roadway replacement, which means we are going below what is currently there, not just milling and overlaying or anything like that. We are completely taking the roadway out and recompacting subgrade. We'll be adding curb and gutters on the street. We'll be upgrading the inlets and storm sewer system that's currently there. We'll be adding sidewalk. That'll be moving from the east side to the west side of the road. We'll be adding street lights, and we'll also be adding street trees. The utilities will also be relocating as needed throughout the project. Here's kind of this is a typical section of Goddard Street. Starting on the east side of the roadway, we'll be tying into existing right of way at a 4-to-1 slope max. It could be less than that if needed. I have a little 1-foot buffer followed by a 2-foot curb and gutter here. That'll lead to a 12-foot lane in one direction, then a 12-foot lane in the other. We'll have another 2-foot curb and gutter to maintain that water on the west side of the street. We'll have a 6-foot buffer space of grass between the curb and the edge of sidewalk. The sidewalk for the majority of the project, that has changed to 6 foot. We looked into that. We widened it way out all the way to the right of way. We moved it to 4 feet. It is going to be right now at the 6 feet. That is our current plan. The sidewalk will be 5 foot for the most part. There are a few sections where we are narrowing that down to 4 foot just to help with impacts to the surrounding areas. And then we'll tie back into existing right of way at a 4-to-1 max slope. Phasing wise, we foresee 3 phases on this project. Phase 1 is this blue shaded area. Phase 1 is the blue shaded area. Phase 2 is the orange shaded area, while phase 3 is this green shaded area. What we are doing with these phases and making sure we're maintaining access to these no outlet streets. As you can see, 57th Terrace as well as 56th Street have no outlet depending on which side of the road you're on there. So phases are set up to where you can utilize these side streets to get in and get back here. We do understand there's several houses located throughout here. We will be providing temporary access to those at all times. So the only time any of these houses will lose access is the brief period of when they're placing curb back in front of it and pouring the driveways. We're talking short duration timeframes, a couple days tops, where it'll be street parking to where you would have to walk.
You're talking about the houses that take back.
Yes, that face Goddard specifically.
How much will be impacted with no outlet?
The no outlet streets will always have access in and out at all times. Yep. If we're working on the phase, like if we're talking 56th Street with this no outlet, what we would do on phase 2 is all traffic would have to turn north and go up Goddard Street towards 55th Street. If we're working on phase 3, you would then have to turn south on Goddard Street and get out that way. There are some discussions about doing phase 1 and phase 3 at the same time, as it doesn't I guess it doesn't block anyone. You would just go out by getting onto Goddard Street, then turning west to get onto one of the major thoroughfares, and well, minor streets, and then turning down from there.
You're asking about access on side streets. You're asking about driveway access, specifically on side streets.
Well, just to get to our street and thus our driveway.
We would do the same thing as the main line, still have access on the driveways and side streets as well, but if we
Right.
Yeah.
If my kid was gonna get a new driveway, it could be a couple of days when the actual form of the driveway.
Yeah, with you guys here, I'd love to, after when we get to the question section, specifically go look at your guys' properties and talk about what the construction plan would be at that location. No, you're fine. Moving on, schedule. I'm sure you guys have seen some stakes out there recently. That's the right-of-way process starting. Currently, the right-of-way consultant is doing appraisals out there, just assessing the land values, seeing what is going to be impacted with the project, what is not going to be impacted. They're specifically looking for what is in the other end of, in the property owner's right-of-way. There is already right-of-way that has been established through the city, so those impacts there are technically owned by the city. So you guys will not be, you will not receive funding for the items that are inside the right-of-way, although they somewhat appear to be in your guys' yard. Utility relocations will be occurring soon, and those will go to December 2021. Final plans are due to the city in mid-October 2021. We're hoping to advertise an award in the winter. Well, we should be advertising and awarding in winter of 2021. Maybe that'll slide out into 2022. And then construction will begin for the roadway and storm sewer portions of the project in March of 2022 and go to probably right around August.
On that, that last piece, looks like that's pretty quick, really, you do that fast, you deal with the spring also, all the rain and stuff, is that, did you factor some of that in there?
Yeah, that's all been,
You have some rain delay, do everything, so.
yeah, that's all been figured out, and this is kind of where we're at from a construction schedule. We see it as reasonable and an achievable option by several of the contractors in the surrounding areas.
What we were concerned about was sort of construction, opening that up, right before in the fall. It's gonna be like, nice for you all.
Bad enough with the spring rain.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the time, I'm just thinking more in terms of the time frame itself, it's like gonna be enough time to get all it done, and you say you did factor in some delay stuff due to weather.
It also helps us to bid it when the contractors have been loading. So we get the folks that are ready to build the project before they build it.
And that's also assuming 2 months per phase, which does seem reasonable and feasible, especially if we end up doing phase 1 and phase 3 at the same time, to where that would even assist the amount of construction they can do at once. That also limits our number of mobilizations needed on the project. With that, we're taking questions. We're here to talk about this and kind of go from there.
When you do the phases from one phase to the other, like some the, are you gonna do one side of the street and then the other side of the street? You're not gonna do both sides of the street at the same time.
Correct. If you want to come up here and look at it real quick. Here's 56th Street here, so this roadway is a dead end street. We would close the road right through here. So you would have access through here. It would be one way, so there'd be some coordination needed through, other people coming back. Most of the traffic on this street should be just homeowners in the area. So this would be really broken down right to the.
Yeah, that's what they, it makes sense.
And then, once this phase is built out, then it would just sort of.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
This phase is built out, then it would be closed. And this phase is building this phase here. So then we would get in, do that way.
Since we're talking about right here, and this is Jim's property right here.
Okay.
Our property is next door to here. And being on this street, we are non-cluttered like you and Michelle and all the people, Terry. We didn't get input, we didn't get a letter, we didn't get to have feedback, we didn't get, and it impacts us greatly, but. So specifically, right now, there's a culvert under the driveway, which I assume there won't be a culvert anymore. There's not a ditch out here, there's not a ditch right here, so, well, it makes sense because there's not gonna be a culvert. So the rain comes here along the curb and across the driveway. This is a concrete little extension. I understand we're trying to get our street centered again, if you will.
Yep.
Okay, so as it comes down, now it goes into the ditch, our ditch, under our driveway. You know what I'm saying? It feels like we're funneling more water than it used to into our world.
Really,
Does that make sense?
really not a ditch, it's a slope of your lawn.
It's not even a good ditch.
Let me pull up water and see where our high points are.
This is the high point.
Now, this is,
And it's coming this way.
you'll see,
I mean, the high
is-
point,
Everything, this is the high point. And I need to look at the plan and see that, with this just being strict, it's just a little view.
Right.
Because this is a high point, this is a high point.
well, I actually think it's a little further this way, because that's why there's this culvert that already exists.
see, the problem is,
We are also throwing in several more culverts to catch more water. Cool, if we keep that in mind, this here's a catch, an inlet catching water flowing this way.
Right.
Same with here, so we will be catching water.
Before it ever gets to the.
what are they gonna do to ditch right now? Along here.
That'll be built up and be built as a curb and inlet.
So it'll be coming over.
So it'll be
Yeah, there'll be
covered
no
up.
ditch, no ditch.
So water will flow onto the street, into the curb, down.
Right now, this drain right here comes from this side over to here.
Mhm.
It is a foot lower than the drain here. So when it rains real hard, this ditch, all it does is just fill up and
say the profile is changing on the roadway throughout. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen some of the plans, there are walls being discussed, walls are usually built because of either the low end the profile.
But they are gonna cover that.
So, yeah, this will be covered up and positive drainage has been there. Drainage should improve in this area. Great.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, so since, all the electrical above ground, because we looked at the plan schedule, which I feel like we
got it down.
I feel like we got it down.
That's
So it
good.
sounds like all of the elevated, other aerial type utilities are gonna be on the east side of the street. Only the street lights are gonna be on the west side, the LED street lights that are going in. Where exactly they're gonna be planted, we don't know, but we get it. So their power supply, where will it come from? And
Underground.
so it'll be underground, okay. So when you look at Neiman Road, and anybody who's here from the city, is listening to me. When you look at Neiman Road, and we buried all of the utilities, now granted, we're not burying all of it, electrical, I get that. We buried the utilities, what that resulted in is lovely, big, 4-foot high, horribly ugly green boxes. Every block, if not more than one block, between Neiman and, between Johnson Drive and China Mission Parkway. And I mean, they're ugly.
You got a couple over here.
And so, are we going to have more of those related to the street?
The street light, my understanding is the Neiman Road, boxes, the green boxes, were specifically LED boxes, correct me if I'm wrong. The
I don't
street
know.
lighting, we will have, utility boxes for street lighting and control boxes, but it should only be 2 total on the project. And that's what check, get back to you. Usually we place those, major intersections, my guess would be here and there, but I would have to look at the plan.
And I'm gonna
Give you
assume
100%
that unlike
confident answer on that.
Neiman, which you, when you leave here, please drive down Neiman and admire the things I'm bringing up to you. Unlike Neiman, I'm gonna assume that the streetlights will not be planted in the middle of the site. And they are on Neiman.
Are you talking in the middle? or-
In the middle of the sidewalk. I don't mean the green space on either side.
On this
I
side,
mean in the.
on this side, there's
So
several
you
poles
take your child in the wheelchair.
that are right in the middle
Because I can't.
of,
That will
When I go
go
down
down,
Neiman,
that definitely should not occur, especially on projects like this. I know Nina had its own difficulties.
Well,
I think this project is a little, we have more manageable.
you know what they tell me? This is why I want to get that. That's what I got to say. This won't have sidewalk on the other side of the street, so I really need for it not to have street lights in the middle of the sidewalk.
And you're gonna be doing that tree thing where planting trees on the street side of the sidewalk, right?
There will be
Yeah.
street trees located, the majority of them will be located between the sidewalk and the back of the curb. You have to look out for utilities that are underground throughout this, so they'll be placed very strategically. There's a couple that we're planning on the opposite side of the street, again, avoiding utilities is a major concern, because you don't want to plant a tree and have it root around the water. You're just looking for difficulty.
Okay, now, that guy that came out a week ago and put these stakes in.
Yeah.
What are these stakes? They're back up here in the middle of the yard. And
All the
the
stakes,
stakes over here, there's some that are 8 foot from the sidewalk over to these yards.
all the stakes should be edge of property line, or the temporary construction has been committed to build the project.
That's it, one of them's the right of way and one of them's what they're gonna have to use.
You see PCE written on the stake?
Yeah, but it's right here in the middle.
It should be right here in the edge, I mean, the edge of what we need. I
That's
think
what I
one
mean,
thing,
temporary construction easement, that's what that means.
yeah,
Okay,
I think one thing that is deceiving throughout, as I have driven some stakes that have been out there, is just the width of right of way that is existing, that the city already has.
Well, I do know they said that they're going to take this fence and move it 5 foot. This fence and this fence.
yeah. Sharon's wood fence and Jim's chain link fence are both moving back 5 feet.
And I can understand why. I noticed on the plans that I had home, it's 50 foot down there, 45 foot in here, but then it goes down to 40. And now it shifts this way, and I can understand why, because I measured from the inside of Terry's sidewalk,
Existing.
45 foot, came right up to the edge of my big tree. There's a big, big tree that I'm gonna take.
It comes right up to the edge of that tree.
Mm-hmm.
Now then, when you stand here and look down here, this poor lady is gonna be only 3 to 5 foot away from the street per house.
Well,
That's the way it's
no,
gonna
the
be.
sidewalk's 5 foot alone. And then
Yeah,
there's space
but-
outside the sidewalk.
but I mean the
So I'm
sidewalk.
okay.
But the
gonna
sidewalk,
be
the
curved.
sidewalk is going, between the sidewalk and her house is going to be narrow than this table.
No, it's not, Jim, I promise you. The sidewalk's 5 foot, and then there's a little bit of space before her wooden fence, and then there's a little bit of space between the wooden fence and her house.
Do you
But
think
the-
we will?
But the 45 foot comes to my tree. The 45 foot
I know,
from here comes to my tree. And that tree, if you measure her house down, it's 5 foot. And if they do any curves or anything, it's going to,
And it seems like we'll be about 20 feet from the edge of the curb to the side of her house.
I agree with you, from what I looked at,
I don't have a scale
20
on the.
from the street, yes.
from the curb. But from her wooden fence, because here's where the wooden fence is moving back to where your temporary construction easement is. So here's the wooden fence.
See, my fence is 35 foot from the driveway over here. It's 35 foot, my fence. They're gonna move it back. You go down here and you measure from
But you,
well, it says on that thing that it's gonna be from the edge of the sidewalk to the edge of the sidewalk. Here. But if you measure from here to here, it's gonna be about like this table.
I don't think so. I think where they're moving her
When we
wooden
get
fence.
there, we'll take.
Okay,
measure.
but I think where you're measuring from is not where the actual curb's gonna be. You see what I'm saying? But we'll see.
Well, I take, if, on her
Maybe
house,
somebody can come out and show.
and
it.
on her house, if you measure from her house 5 foot, say to the curve of the sidewalk, or the edge of the sidewalk, then it's only 35 foot to this sidewalk.
Well, we'll have him come out.
Because you can stand down here at my tree
Oh, I know.
and look.
I look straight down at the.
and look at the side of the.
I think
I'm assuming that stake should be set right there right now. You should be able to see how far that stake is off.
The stake
This
is,
5 foot CPE,
the
5 foot is from this edge to that. The yellow shading is 5 feet.
the stake that they have down there is in the back of my yard. I have a fence right here.
This is your,
Over here. I have a fence here. You know, divide my fence from hers.
Mm-hmm.
The stake is 5 foot into my yard here. There's 2 stakes.
Currently, your fence is half the CPE line. So 5 foot would be right back at this yellow, like right here.
It's,
Can you guys provide me this individual's name and number? I would love to come out.
yes, she's retired, Sharon, yes.
she rents that house from this guy. I don't know what her name is.
Sharon. She's retired from our Shawnee, 1929, our Shawnee Township.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where she retired.
I have no issues coming out there.
Now, can I ask a question? And a request? When you come down here, take this big tree out. Take this big tree out.
You give them permission to take.
I
don't
give you permission to take that tree out instead of building that sidewalk right alongside the tree.
Well, I would.
Those acorns falling hard on the way.
Okay, I've got several other issues, so I'm gonna move along. I understand, I read about why this pedestrian crossing, and it makes little sense to me. It only makes sense eventually. There's gonna be a sidewalk here for these kids.
And there is some discussion about removing this and moving this, just because we don't know.
We don't know if it's gonna happen.
We don't know when this will happen. So with that said,
Will there be a crosswalk at Johnson Drive though? That's not demonstrated on the image. Will there be a crosswalk here? Will there very much needs to be? That down there?
currently that is on the plan.
Well, if you, right now, we have a major, not just crosswalk. So right now, Hawthorne Grove, I'm a homeowner, and a child is like, and then finally, someone in the city's gonna pay attention.
Well,
Because right now, wait a minute, on Johnson Drive, there are signs that clearly say no stopping, no standing, no parking. We get our police reporters and we allow cars to back up all the way down Johnson Drive, causing the traffic and accident rate.
Are there
Then
more?
you have all the parents that are parked in the Methodist church that you know what I'm talking about. And they don't just park in the church, they're parked along Goddard on both sides, and this is gonna impact you when you start working. So when you try to come around that corner, it is dangerous with a capital D. Now, there's a school resource officer that's paid by the city that are going to bring this tiny down to this corner and visualize what I'm talking about. But anyway, needless to say, this is highly utilized, and there's a running for the Hopper, and right now they're running on this sidewalk that kisses the street, and they'll be doing your sidewalk. So we need to, I think we need to.
Does Hopper Grove have more people now than they did last year?
It's because they're busing, the busing district, they used to bus it over 2 miles away, now that's 2.5 miles away.
Okay.
So that's his right.
Because I counted cars from the corner here,
It's great.
along Johnson Drive, on both sides.
Many Goddard, yes,
I mean, Goddard,
Yeah.
on both sides.
we saw.
And then they
Yeah,
had
three
cars
different-
in front of the church here on, Johnson. And when you pull up there, you
I know.
can't see
So I
them.
know that's not your problem, other than this is probably a necessary, crosswalk, just because the running club uses it. They run a big circle, and so they've been using this very dangerous sidewalk that kisses the street where there is a sidewalk. Then they run in the street where there's not. So I know they'll be using it.
Yeah.
And so to have that crosswalk for them would be,
Very good.
now, I know that a speed study was done, last May for that week when there wasn't even school, which is kind of a misnomer because it really wasn't a true reflection of what traffic's like on Goddard, especially now that school is in session. So we'd love to see another speed study and traffic study done because it's way more than you think. Now, that being said, what is the proposed speed limit for the street? Is that on a
That is under the circle, let me pull up the sign. I don't know if we have the signing plan done yet.
There's some other things going on too.
lot?
So, if we do this 3 lane thing on that.
Let's not get into
I think
that.
a lot of people are gonna be shooting down Goddard.
Goddard's already a country
Using
street.
55th Street.
And I
so
was,
Goddard's
you know,
back on
look
Johnson
at
Drive.
85% of the cars are over there.
Well, they do that in my neighborhood over in Bull Road. They're just-
I call bull on that, but anyway, I just didn't want to see it get raised up now that we have 2 12-foot driving lanes.
The design speed is 30 miles per hour.
30, okay, well, then let me go on 40. Super.
But
that-
you can use the FPD review.
But then on the right of way, Jim, and this matters, I thought of you and more than Michelle. So these people, and at this end, would you agree more people are having to give up some land, for lack of a better word? You know, I granted it belongs to the city anyway, it's existing right of way, I get it, we're just moving them back out of the city's property, I get that.
Are you saying this area?
Now, here, like along here, these people are giving up 5 foot of their yard, it didn't belong to them, I get it. The fences moves them back to what is the city's right of way, I get it.
Correct.
The city owns this one. We sure didn't take their parking places away from them. We gave, we're giving them 900. No charge. Nothing.
I think part of that is the established parking they have there.
Well, they had established parking, and they agreed to give theirs up. So we're gonna move the whole sidewalk, everything else, and they keep those 9 spots right on. But we can't, but we're moving everybody else back. I mean, it just seems, I just wondered if there's logic.
I will say,
Because they got a big parking lot.
part of logic too, is you would move the sidewalk back. It actually might be tough.
No, I don't want to move the sidewalk back. I want the sidewalk to stay straight right here, and I don't want to give them city land. I mean, that belongs to the city. Those 9 spots aren't gonna make or break this church. They've got a big parking lot right here.
Yeah.
And they're handicap spots right now. They're saying it's for handicap all over here because their ramp comes down over. So this is not, it's a voting place. I know the place very well. So I don't understand why the city's giving land. They won't give me land. Will they give me land? Okay. But we're gonna give it to them.
I don't.
And they'll protect them. So, if this going to become no parking on either side of the street when the project's all the way done?
Yeah.
Can we make it that now from somewhere in the city? Because, let's see, you do it right now. Because right now, this would stop this problem. This would stop a lot. And right now, when the sidewalk is hugging the street, when people straddle the sidewalk with the legal and all the signs, because kids are walking in the street, I'm a trauma nurse, I care, and they're walking in the street because we're allowing people to break the law every day, on Johnson Drive, on Goddard, and if it's gonna become no parking, we decide to see eventually, and actually, according to the actual code, according to the municipal code, it shouldn't be parking on either side of the street right now, because if the street is less, is the width that Goddard is right now, there shouldn't even be parking on it, according to our certain municipal code.
Do people park there after business hours?
People park there whenever they want to pick up kids from school, because it's closer to take their groceries in, because whatever, because they have a lawn care business that they run from their home illegally, whatever it is, they're parking straddling the sidewalk. And some of the people, and it's gonna happen, I understand there's gonna be people parking on the street for construction. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, let's get the residents out of the habit right now. You need them out of the habit before everybody starts working.
I would say I might have misspoke. I'd have to check to make sure this street is no parking afterwards.
I believe that was the plan when I had it before, that it wasn't gonna be parking, so I don't understand what we can't start leaving that
And that
parking.
parking problem really is the school thing. Because that's Shawnee White. Every single school.
No, I don't care what they don't have a problem.
They sure do.
They're not letting them stop on 75th Street. They're not letting them stop on Severe. No, they're not. They're not letting them stop on Severe.
Those people are living now, but they got people parked in front of their houses and stuff.
They're,
The way you go get the kids.
they're not letting people line up for beer, waiting for the trouble. They don't allow it, but we do.
This is an issue I took up with the safety, guy over at, Shine Mission School District, because we have a hell of a problem, Brian Benningo, and people were just parking all over the place, waiting for the school to get out, then they'd pull out and then go get the kids. And people couldn't access the mailbox, the parents wouldn't be, there's all kinds of headaches, it's a real problem. And we solved some of it. It's a big issue, I know what I'm saying. Many kids, blue jackets, and cars are all lined up all over. Blue jackets playing on both sides.
This is an extreme situation being Johnson Drive,
Yeah.
not,
I know, I've been there.
not Rosehill.
They're lined up.
Not
on
Rosehill. This is Johnson Drive. And it's dangerous.
47th Street.
And I'm so sorry, I've been saying it I don't.
You know.
You know, they're lined up down this, have you seen that?
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, Johnson Drive, Monday was lined up, yeah, was lined up.
Yeah, there is one individual on the line.
In the area. Yep. One lane, Johnson Drive. Cars just like.
Which isn't this guy's problem, I get it, but, and I don't know, so I don't know who can do anything about, because when I asked about no parking, since the municipal code does say we shouldn't have parking, all I asked for it to not be on the east side of the street, but the sidewalk is. So that's the police to do. Well, the police have the authority to do it. But maybe the city needs to encourage them to do it. I don't know. Where does that fall? The city tells me it's the police problem. The police tells me it's a city problem. And the bottom line is, it's a bunch of kids being unsafe, and I can't get anybody to do anything about it.
The one thing about, that I would like, and I'm speaking for myself, I don't know about Jim or further anything like that. But we have enough trees in our neighborhood. And, you know, you're gonna put trees, more trees down that, like, to me, just save money and not put the trees in. Because 15 years, we just cleaned up a bunch of trees this last couple of days.
And had to haul them away ourselves because the city didn't put that much trees down. One,
But,
that's impressive.
I think a lot of people have varying opinions on that. There's definitely a battle both ways. Of, do we put trees back if we take them, or do we just take them and get rid of them? And we've definitely been an internal battle, as well as people in the public have different opinions as well. So I will say we appreciate that comment. We'll take it into consideration and definitely discuss that internally on what our final street tree plan is. Part of the reason for the street trees too is to calm the traffic throughout the neighborhood. The presence of a tree does deter traffic a little bit from the sidewalk, maybe further into the lane, in addition to drive slower. It's a mindset thing, you see it, you just move a little bit slower. So that is one of the thoughts on the street trees. But we will take that comment and discuss it internally and go from there.
So pretty much, these plans are set. this meeting was really to inform us of what's gonna happen, and we can clarify things, but things are set in stone.
I would say we are definitely still in the process of making modifications. I've been meeting with different people here.
So the crosswalk thing is set in stone.
This crosswalk, we are strongly considering moving here, and after hearing you say that comment, it makes a lot of sense to have that crosswalk. It's a very easy plan change.
And they want downtown to be walkable.
So, I would say there are definitely still discussions going on.
Sure.
On these changes.
But
I would say we're,
about giving the church the right one.
my knowledge, that discussion has taken place.
They do have, you have a large space over here at this side, they want to work.
It's just,
They will be all.
it's besides the existing parking lot where they're already on tap.
If they're handicapped, the
It's already, it's on.
north side of the building, where it's at right now, they're actually parking on.
That doesn't matter, they're gonna go to.
Allow them to do that.
Well, they have parallel parking instead of the pole.
Part of the pool-in parking does provide additional spaces, parallel parking, you get the, maybe for pool-in parking.
I had for the room, instead of giving them the whole 22, it comes in full. You only have about 7 or 8. So it's 3 or 4 cars.
I think they want the parking spot. It would be a great, whatever the wording is, that's all it is. Hindrance or some hardships to their church if they didn't have those ones. They make it like that.
So they had to pass on the street.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's gonna look pretty much like Clinton when we're done, for the respect.
No, I don't think so. I don't know who lives on Flint. I've always been trying to find out how that Flint got that kind of sidewalk, closed side, street light, closed side, how that got developed to that degree. It's like, oh, I want to know who lives on that street.
What is it?
Yeah,
I guess I'm thinking in terms of the curbs and the streets.
yeah, but yeah, we've been begging we couldn't even get the sidewalk repaired so that we could walk on the little bit of sidewalk that exists on. Yeah, it's been, we've only been there 31 years, so. It's a long.
Because of the fact that the street lights and sidewalks, it would be basically like when we're done,
I have a review, I think it's a small scale. But yeah, it will be.
It's gonna be nice. It's really, I'm very excited. I don't mean to sound like Debbie Downer, but I'm very excited. We needed this years and years and years ago. And originally this was on this bypass, whatever it said. It was supposed to be a year ago.
But I tell a lot of people, we don't know what we don't know. So your comments are definitely appreciated. I have no issue with them.
And I'm happy to know we have access. That was scary, being on one of those dead streets.
Yeah.
I might have to walk in.
I think park the car, park and walk to it.
I like the things,
They did mention Hoppy Grove being able to.
but they don't know if that's gonna happen or when.
This year specifically?
Yeah, I like that idea of having kids come out. This
Let's say I'm going to.
so they don't have to come out on Johnson Drive.
This is actually getting removed because we don't know when this is gonna be repaired. So with that said, it's actually against federal standards to have a sidewalk to nowhere. Interesting.
Right.
So this is actually not allowable design.
Eventually, but.
Well, it'd be a sidewalk into someone's yard that has a ditch right now.
Right.
So there are some issues in that area. We have to truly build the sidewalk, not just have the
Right.
urban.
That totally makes sense. Yay.
We do have one individual online. I'm gonna redo that presentation. If you guys want to sit in for it again, feel free. But I am gonna just like in here presentation. So
Yeah.
it is.
Somebody sign in.
What?
You all sign
Oh,
in.
I didn't have a sign-in sheet. There is.
I don't know, are you? Well, it's a good job, right?
You guys are,
Most likely.
all right with signing in. I have sign-in information.
If something comes up, we need to contact you. I'm sure Cody already has your information.
Hey, Arlene, can you hear me? If you can hear me, can you type yes in the chat box?
Thank you so much, Cody.
Yes.
The show says we're nice. Do you wish to say something?
I do my best, and again, if she wants to schedule an on-site meeting, let her know.
Well, I think it would behoove us to clarify with Jim and Sharon, you know, where things are really gonna land. No, I can get it real easy. She's on this house.
Okay, so it's a
Yeah,
really-
for sure.
And I don't know what
She's got team on.
Yeah.
If you wanna, are you, next one, comment and questions, and then
You can come in and we can talk about
and then Jim can see. I think you lied about, when Sharon retired, she worked for Amber, but also at Shawneetown. Just retired.
You guys want to-
She rented this house. in Baltimore.
Kind of quick brief.
So I wish I could find it out.
What's going on? This is something I made up.
Yeah. Oh. But. Yeah, I guess.
She is not. If the audio's, it says my audio is working. I don't have the sign in or the public meeting notice. Yes, sir.
First sidewalk tells directly right now.
The reason I'm saying that, one that you have. You did, several months ago.
Yep.
It gave.
Yeah.
Not that I know of, no.
That's the one.
But let's schedule a meeting, let's sit down, go over things. I think it works great. Easy way to handle things, we can discuss these items each separately. I can get, my, system ready to where I can actually make all these measurements and have them exact for it. The specifics, I think sometimes to just get out an actual design tool and measure them and stuff. Okay, thank you, sir. Hi, Arlene. We're going to start this PowerPoint here in a second. Sorry for the delay if you were kind of waiting. Hopefully you can hear me. I am being told I do have audio, so if you can't hear me, please please send me a chat and let me know. How's it going?
Good.
I'm Cody.
Brandon,
Brandon, nice to meet you.
I'm good as however fast you want to get.
Okay, it's a pretty quick presentation. So yeah, it's a public meeting for Goddard Street, 55th Street to Johnson Drive, City Project 3523, City Project number 3523. I'm Cody Wilbers, the project manager for the city of Shawnee. We also have Lauren Snyder here, city engineer, Steve Hawk, business liaison. Not with us is Walter P. Moore, who is our design consultant. That's Dan Brown, Katie Horner-Gonzalez, and Ethan Buman. They've done several projects in the city, so they know our standards quite well. We're going to just review the design, roadway design and layout. We're going to discuss phasing. We're going to discuss the current project schedule and then Q&As. Design will be a full depth roadway replacement. We'll be adding curb and gutters and upgrading the inlets and storm sewer. We'll be adding sidewalk, street lights, and street trees along the project. Utilities will be relocated as needed. Here's a general typical section of the roadway. On the east side, we will tie into existing ground and do that at a 4-to-1 slope max. 4-to-1 would be kind of a 25% slope, 4 feet over, 1 foot down. We'll have a 1 foot transition space to where we tie into a curb, then a 12-foot lane, followed by another 12-foot lane. The opposite curb side, which will be 2 feet. We'll have a 6-foot space in between the back of curb and the sidewalk. 5-foot sidewalk for most of the areas. It does go to 4 foot in a few, and then it'll slope back up to a 4-to-1 to tie into existing ground. 4-to-1 max, that is. Phasing, we currently foresee 3 phases on the project. Phase 1 would be the blue. Phase 2 is this orange. Phase 3 is the green. There is discussions about doing phase 1 and 3 at the same time as well. These phases are set up to make sure access on these no outlet roadways have access. There are some houses and, there's a church here and houses in here and houses over here that you might be like, how am I going to get access when construction of that phase is ongoing? It will be a requirement for the contractor to maintain access to driveways at all time. That'll have some brief closures when they're pouring curb in people's driveways. This church here specifically, we will be making them pour that curb half at a time, unless we can work it out with the church to where we can do it all at the same time. Maybe like a Monday morning, they pour it so it sets up good to go on by Sunday. Schedule for the project. You've probably seen some stakes out there now. That's the part of the right-of-way process. We're doing appraisals now with acquisitions coming shortly thereafter. Utility relocations will be happening soon and probably be complete by December 2021. Final plans are due to us in mid-October 2021. We'll be advertising the project and awarding it hopefully in late winter or early winter of 2021. That might slide into 2022 a little bit. And then construction is planned from March of 2022 to August of 2022. For next question, so if you want to talk about something specifically, let me know. Arlene, I'm hoping you can hear me. If you have any questions, feel free to submit those in the chat pod.
So, what's that? I know, I like it, I'm good. So I'm with the church here, so, I guess,
I think you came to this meeting.
no, I did go to the last one, it got,
No, I mean, just a couple of minutes.
Oh, wow.
They didn't want this on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think they're doing
The neighbors aren't too happy about that.
What do they want, straight sidewalk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay, well, so we're, yeah, I think we're good, we can close that off on Monday.
So what we're gonna put in the contract is half at a time, and then as construction progresses, we would tell them, hey, we can coordinate this, or we can coordinate on Monday, and get it open by Friday, you don't have an issue. Just we need to make sure that the next following week. That's something I was gonna actually reach out to you guys to talk about. Contract wise, I'm gonna tell them to build it half the time. Just in case. They don't do what no promises, which.
As long as we know,
Something we have to work
we're good,
I'm sure we'll be in touch a lot over the coming months. Project manager for the project, so if anything comes up, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me.
Remind me, what's your name?
Right.
Brandon, I was at that meeting with Paul. Were you at
Oh,
that meeting? You
yeah,
stood outside and looked at the.
Yep,
And what was that?
before we retired, right?
Yeah, what was that, 6 months ago now?
Yeah, gosh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I recall,
the challenge for you guys was this parking lot wasn't big enough without these 9 spots, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we're talking about expanding anyway.
Right.
So we're gonna be redoing this completely, so you guys need to use it for staging, we're open to that. I don't know.
I would say I'd let the contractor have that conversation with you.
We can talk, but
But on
I don't
Sundays, that
want
parking
to
lot's just not big enough.
right?
On Sundays, that parking lot's just barely big enough. For you. Is that right?
yeah, pretty much full layout. And then, so we were talking about extending, going back straight, because there's probably another room to get it out. 50% more, maybe 40% more the back. And we talked with, I don't know who we talked with previously, but they said that we can do it. We just have to get the drainage to drain south. And there's a ditch there.
There's a ditch there now, and we're also putting a storm sewer pipe to mount.
Also, if we did that, we can maybe find the
This
storm
is
sewer.
completely hypothetical, and it's an offer or anything, but if the concern is that we're not going to have enough parking, there would be some type of solution where we might be able to consider adding parking. Or you're considering, the parking. Yeah.
As opposed to the 9 spaces out front.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can look at it.
We can put asphalt
I mean,
back here.
Well, it's not even opposed to making it and I don't know how this works with you guys, making a bid option to have that lot, be part of this project. And I know there's like, kind of.
Well, but part of the issue was you had trouble, you would have trouble affording it, is that the bids you got were so high.
Yeah, right, so doing a full lot is all the way back, because it basically, there's only like maybe 2 inches overlay. And so we'd basically replace it anyway, but doing it all the way back, plus the grading is probably too much to afford.
That's what I thought I remembered.
Yeah, I think, but anyway, so that's
Kind of our project limits a little bit, but it's not unheard of. We've had similar things happen on other projects.
So we would be talking about doing sidewalk from here to here, and moving these 9 spots, plus maybe a few more back here. That's what you're thinking?
So that's something that.
yeah, we can,
I think,
yeah, I think.
I think one of the positives there is it does get the sidewalk right off your front porch too.
Yeah.
9 spots are nice for sure, but having a little bit more room space in front of it.
What do you think about taking advantage of that kind of parking area for like, when you're having weddings and those type of things where people kind of work on the front door, kind of what I was.
I don't think so, but,
Didn't you need the ceremonial parking spot?
Yeah, where they put the
Actually,
car, or you get all decorated, or the hearse from the.
Or the first.
at the end of the
I
year.
gotta go there.
But I'm just saying, I'm a pastor's kid, so
Yeah.
that's what I like to
The white car or the black car, yeah.
think about.
Well, yeah, well, we should have that conversation. I mean, before this is, I really set in stone. We should have a conversation about how
We're
you're parking.
working with probably community development about looking at the extension of the parking lot.
yeah, this might have been 2 years ago now, but they basically, I had the email, so they said, yeah, it's good, you just need drainage studies, we don't want to send, the grade goes slightly to the west. We don't want to, affect the neighbor's property, so we need to divert it to the ditch, or it could be diverted to the, bring the storm sewer.
And maybe we can have some internal conversations with the designer and see what that might look like.
Right.
So, like,
Yeah, and I'm an engineer, but structural, and I have a friend that's a civil, so he's kind of put together some stuff. So, anyway, but yeah, we can be in touch.
depending on, if it's just 9 spaces, it may be a small enough disturbed area. Look at whether there's really a study. Because you're really not increasing impervious area by that much.
Sign in, so we have your contact.
Yeah,
information.
it's my contact's on.
I probably butchered the last name when I spelled it out.
Yeah, and I. Yeah, well, I didn't write it very clear. No, that's.
What they did to treat you.
You want me to-
What, they're supposed to teach you how to print in engineering school.
That is definitely not something that is a thing. Hey, Arlene, please reach out if you can hear me. I'll try to find your contact information as well and give you a call just to verify you're hearing this. I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording at this time and log off. Thank you.